Half of enterprise SaaS just got wiped out. And I'm not talking about small companies that no one's ever heard of. We're talking about some of the highest quality software businesses in the market. Servicenow, Salesforce, Adobe, Microsoft getting demolished as investors suddenly became convinced that AI was going to commoditize software overnight. The narrative shifted in a matter of weeks. AI can code, AI can automate workflows, AI can analyze data, write emails, generate presentations, replace tasks that software companies monetize through subscriptions. Add higher bond yields crushing growth valuations at the exact same time, and the market started pricing in these companies like margins were collapsing, growth was permanently impaired, and enterprise SaaS itself was becoming obsolete. Most investors are treating this like the end of software, and they are completely wrong. Because what AI actually does to enterprise software is the opposite of what the market is pricing. AI doesn't remove enterprise complexity, it increases it dramatically. And the companies that already own the infrastructure, the workflows, and the data do not get displaced by a chatbot. They get a new growth engine while the market prices them like they're dying. Today, we're going to break down the entire SaaS apocalypse thesis, why the market is making a category error, and the specific stocks the market has completely mispriced. Let's get into it. The core argument behind the sell-off is that AI agents will replace software. And the logic goes like this. If an AI agent can perform a task, you don't need a SaaS subscription anymore. So software companies would lose revenue, margins would compress, and the whole entire sector enters secular decline. That sounds clean, but it's also dangerously oversimplified. Here's the thing. Most people are hearing AI and they think standalone chatbots. You type a prompt, you get an answer, but that's just not how enterprise SaaS works. Large organizations are not going to run mission-critical operations through disconnected AI systems with no structure, no accountability, and no audit trail. When an enterprise deploys thousands of AI agents internally across finance, HR, IT operations, customer service, supply chain, those agents actually need much more governance. They need orchestration layers that control how the systems interact with each other. They need permission frameworks. They need integration while existing databases and workflows. They need security layers. They need compliance systems, etc. The stronger AI becomes, the more important the infrastructure around it becomes. Think about it. A human employee operating without structure creates chaos. Now imagine an AI agent operating without structure at speed way faster than a human. Imagine how much chaos that could simply create. That is not a software problem, that's an infrastructure problem. And we're going to break this down. The market is making a genuine category error. It's lumping all software companies together. Weak SaaS businesses with low switching costs and commodity products, those do probably struggle. But elite enterprise platforms that already own critical workflows and enterprise infrastructures that don't get displaced, they become the rails that AI is going to run on. And let me show you exactly what I mean. And honestly, this is exactly the kind of stuff we've been breaking down inside the TLI Patreon for months now, separating what's actually broken from what the market is simply mispricing. So if you guys want the deeper breakdowns, charts, and positioning on all of this in real time, join below. And if you're not ready to become a paid member yet, no worries. You can still join for free, and the link's in the description. ServiceNow and Salesforce are two of the best examples of companies the market is fundamentally misunderstanding right now. So let's start with ServiceNow. Investors got spooked because AI agents could theoretically replace workflow software and IT service management tools. But here's what that misses. ServiceNow isn't a software application anymore. It's an enterprise operating system. It has IT operations, HR systems, internal approvals, workflow routing, service requests, security operations. This all increasingly runs through ServiceNow's infrastructure. Over 80% of Fortune 500 companies actually use it, and the net retention rate, yeah, it's 119%. What that means is existing companies are spending 19% more year over year. That's not a company that's at a risk of disruption. That's a company getting more embedded into everyone's workflow. When enterprises deploy AI agents across departments, those agents don't replace ServiceNow. They need ServiceNow. They need the orchestration layer that controls how those agents interact with existing systems, how requests get routed, how permissions get managed, how incidents get escalated, and ServiceNow becomes the air traffic control for the AI-enabled enterprise. And the best part is Salesforce is the same story, but on the customer side. Customer data, pipeline management, enterprise analytics, support infrastructure, sales workflows, this is all deeply embedded across global enterprises. AI does not remove the importance of customer relationship infrastructure. If anything, AI agents make those systems even more valuable because they already own the underlying customer ecosystem that these said enterprises actually operate on. ServiceNow trades at roughly 22 times forward earnings. Salesforce trades at roughly 23 times. The market is not pricing ServiceNow for the AI growth engine it could become, and it's pricing Salesforce like the growth story is completely over. That gap is the opportunity that we so often speak about, because both of these companies are playing the same structural role in an AI-enabled enterprise, and neither is getting credit for it. But the infrastructure argument doesn't stop with the workflow or the CRM. It extends to the one area where AI directly creates new demand, and the market is just massively underestimating by how much. So to set the stage a little further, during the most recent peak we've just seen with the AI trade, capital crowded aggressively into the most obvious layers of the stack, and there's nothing wrong with that. Semiconductors, compute, infrastructure, hyperscalers, networking, power demand, data centers, that became the entire thesis right now. And again, NVIDIA became the face of AI. It broke out to new all-time highs, and this was all while software became the funding source of that liquidity. And honestly, this happens in every major technological cycle. Early on, the market always overpays for the most visible layer first, infrastructure gets priced before the actual enablement, and compute gets priced before the applications. The same thing happened during cloud, mobile, and the start of the internet. But what we have to understand is that eventual cycle matures, and the market starts asking a different question. Okay, so AI infrastructure is being built, but who actually is going to capture the long-term value created by AI adoption? And that's where the conversation changes, because over time, AI models themselves become increasingly commoditized. The real moat becomes enterprise ecosystems, workflow ownership, distribution, and proprietary datasets, which we've speaked on already before. And like I've said, you can already see the market slowly rotating toward that realization now. The highest quality software platforms are finally beginning to stabilize structurally, while weaker SaaS names continue breaking down. Investors are finally realizing that there's a massive difference between a weak software wrapper with no moat and an elite infrastructure platform embedded across entire enterprise operations. Even technically, the charts were telling you the market overreacted. Both CRM and Now underwent harsh ABC corrections caused mainly by horrible SaaS sentiment and AI disruption fears, yet neither actually broke its long-term secular uptrend. Both pulled back roughly into major Fibonacci retracement zones, the 0.786 and the 887, where elite secular growth names historically tend to reset before beginning the next expansion phase higher. And this was also apparent even in different setups in small cap SaaS names like Zeta. The stock frustrated a lot of retail investors because the move took much longer than expected, but structurally, Zeta spent most of the SaaS apocalypse consolidating rather than breaking down. The stock continuously reinforced its 200-week moving average while continuing to print higher lows underneath the surface. From a technical perspective, we actually think that high-quality software is increasingly setting up for either a major bounce or the beginning of a completely new impulse wave higher as the markets realize that the AI disruption narrative was massively overdone. And honestly, that brings us to what may be the most misunderstood part of this entire AI cycle, and that is proprietary data. That there's one asset in the AI economy that almost nobody is pricing in correctly, and that, like I said, is proprietary first-party data. AI models become dramatically more powerful when paired with large-scale datasets tied to human behavior, customer engagement, and personalization. Generic data will become commoditized. Proprietary data does not. And the companies that own the data ecosystems have a structural advantage that AI reinforces, because the better AI gets, the more valuable, unique data sets actually become. There is no better example of this than Zeta Global. Their Athena platform, just built around AI-driven customer acquisition, engagement, and personalization, it's powered by massive amounts of first-party enterprise data, and as third-party cookies disappear and ad targeting evolves, first-party data ecosystems become the only game in town. And I want to reinforce, Zeta is not a SaaS company that AI commoditizes. It's a data infrastructure company that AI actually makes more powerful. Revenue growth, 30%. Super linear scaling on their cloud platform, and the market is still valuing it like a legacy marketing tech company. Reddit owns one of the largest proprietary datasets of human conversation on the entire internet. That data is increasingly valuable for two reasons: advertising ecosystems that need contextual targeting, and AI model training that needs diverse, authentic, human-generated content. Reddit is not just a social platform anymore. The market is still trying to figure out how to value that proprietary data ecosystem. That uncertainty, like I've said multiple times, is the opportunity, and you have to realize that. Because if AI makes that data more valuable, and the structural trends say it does, then these companies are completely not being priced for what they can become. And there's one more stock that the market has also completely given up on, and it might be the most contrarian call in this entire video. And this is exactly why we've been so focused on enterprise infrastructure and proprietary data inside the TLI Patreon lately. because we genuinely think that the market still does not understand where long-term AI value actually accrues. If you guys want the deeper breakdowns and positioning on these names, join below, the link's in the description. Adobe is the stock that everyone simply thinks is dead. The bear thesis is obvious, and it's everywhere. Generative AI makes content creation easier, it commoditizes parts of the creative industry, and it destroys Adobe's pricing power. The market has priced this narrative in so aggressively, and this is exactly why it's worth looking at closely. So here's the thing, AI may massively increase the total amount of digital content that's created globally, and that's honestly something that investors already know. And when content volume explodes, the platforms already embedded into professional workflows don't get disrupted. They actually get more usage. Adobe still owns one of the most dominant creative ecosystems on the entire planet. They have Creative Cloud, they have enterprise integrations, they have design workflows, media infrastructure, and they have decades of professional lock-in. And that Firefly is the key here. Adobe isn't getting disrupted by generative AI externally. They're integrating AI directly into their ecosystem. So the real question isn't whether AI changes creative software. It obviously does. The question is whether Adobe actually monetizes that transition better than competitors because of its existing scale, distribution, and like I said, ecosystem lock-in. If Adobe succeeds and the early Firefly adoption data suggests that they actually just might, then this is not a dying legacy company anymore. It's an AI-enabled creative infrastructure platform that the market is pricing at crisis levels. This is the purest contrarian call in this video, and it's the one where the gap between the narrative and the fundamentals is actually the widest. So here's where we land at TLI. The SaaS apocalypse thesis gets one thing right. Weak SaaS companies with low switching costs and commodity products will struggle in an AI-driven world. That is real, and the market is not wrong about that. But it's making a genuine category error by treating elite enterprise platforms like they're in the same bucket. They're completely not. Companies that own enterprise workflows, they own customer ecosystems, they have security infrastructure and proprietary data, they will not get displaced by AI agents. They become the infrastructure that these agents actually run on. Servicenow becomes air traffic control, Salesforce becomes the customer system of record, and names like CrowdStrike, Palo Alto, or Rubrik become mandatory as AI scales threats. And like I said, names like Zeta and Reddit become more valuable as proprietary data becomes the scarcest asset in this new AI economy. And finally, Adobe becomes the test case for whether an incumbent can integrate AI into an existing ecosystem faster than disruptors can replace it from the outside. So with that said, we're watching three things here specifically at TLI. First, whether enterprise AI agents deployments actually accelerate through the second half of 2026, and this would confirm the infrastructure demand thesis. Second, whether cybersecurity spending growth reaccelerates as AI-driven attacks become more visible. And third, Adobe's Firefly monetization data. That's going to be the signal on whether the contrarian call is actually working. I'll leave you like this. Great investments are found at maximum pessimism. The SaaS apocalypse that just happens is maximum pessimism for enterprise SaaS. And the market doesn't usually give you this kind of dislocation in companies with 80% gross margins, 115% net retention rates, and structural tailwinds all at the same time. So if this gave you a framework for thinking about the SaaS sell-off that you didn't already have before, hit like, hit subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you want the full charting and fundamental breakdown as we track these names, join us in our Patreon. The link is in the description.